Quaid Azam, Part 195. How conceivably could the Muslim League accept its own liquidation as a precondition for a coalition? Paradoxically, Congress achieved the very reverse of this all. Such attitudinizing gave Muslim League a new lease of life and set in motion a process that culminated eventually in the partition of India. In defense of Nehru, S. Gopal says, any agreement would in fact have accepted the politics were a matter of alliances between upper class groups and betrayed all Muslims who thought in a non-communal term, also abandoning the economic program on which Jawaharlal had been laying so much stress. No such agreement could have endured, for the League had no long-term economic or social objectives. The only incentive where its leaders were concerned was the hope of the office, and once this was fulfilled, the cracks were bound to widen. In these circumstances, little importance can be attached to the talks of Khaliq-ul-Zaman, and no weighty consequences followed their failures. Both the analysis and the conclusions of the author are not sustained by the events as they unfolded. A rationale advanced by Nehru reasoned that to start with there had been no formal agreement to form a coalition ministry. Therefore, the question of the consequences attendant upon its breaking did not arise. Technically, this was perhaps accurate, but it was clearly an empty legalistic argument for implicit and electoral alliance with the League, and was the prospect of a coalition were the Congress to take the office. The other rationale frequently advanced is the ideological gulf that separated the League and the Congress, if this was meant to be the difference between a clearly sectarian Muslim League and supposedly secular party, the Congress. And that argument too is difficult to sustain for long, because the Congress had allied with the same sectarian party for the purpose of electioneering. Also, with the reference was to the conservatism of UPMLPB as contrasted with the supposedly advanced politics of Nehru had so of the Congress as a whole. Then several arguments can be put forward to contradict the notion. Khaliq-ul-Zaman and Ismail Khan were generally regarded as Congress-minded Muslims, and there were many members of UPMLPB whose political views were as radical as those of any congressman. Even the social composition of UP Muslim League was far less reactionary than it became subsequently. At this time, most Muslim zamindars, though nominally members of the League, were fighting the elections either as independents or the nominees of the National Agriculturist Party. Besides, Khaliq-ul-Zaman and Nawab Ismail Khan were no more conservative than, for example, the members of the Bengal Congress, who had determinedly opposed tenancy and credit reforms in that province. Besides, Sardar Patel was not exactly a votary of Nehruvian socialistic thinking. Finally, it has been argued that the ideological distance between two parties was borne out by the fundamental differences in the way in which they conceptualized freedom from British rule. In the context of accepting office in 1937, this difference was more apparent than real, as Jinnah showed in the course of his address at 25th session of All India Muslim League in Lucknow in October 1937. A great deal of the capital is made out of the phrases. For the consumption of the ignorant and illiterate masses, various phrases are used such as Purna Swaraj, self-government, complete independence, responsible government, substance of independence, and dominion status.